Good morning, everyone. This is a very special video. It is my 1 year anniversary on selling on eBay full-time. For a year now since I quit my job. Well, close enough. February 24th is my year, is when I quit. I really only started selling at the end of February, starting March. This is just gonna cover how did it go, and also like some of the stuff I learned and some of the stuff I wish I knew during that time. So I ended up grossing $78,240, which is fairly a good amount. Honestly, I made just as much as I would have done if I worked in my full-time job, but that number is before eBay fees, it's before shipping, and it's before taxes. Having said all that, the net is probably about $50,000, but you also have to count your cost of goods, shipping supplies, etc., everything you spend on the business. So more or less, I made about, or maybe just a little bit under of what I made as my full-time job. But again, I was my own boss, no drama. You know, I can work at my own pace. I can design the workflow as I want to, right? It's very nice and comforting knowing that building this business from the ground up. Having said that though, there is some hardships. There is some difficulties coming into it that I did not know I was going to run into. Of course, when you're so used to a constant flow of checks, you expect to get the same amount of money. When you're selling online, you have to sell to make the money. And sometimes with this economy, a lot of people blame the economy, and it is to blame for a certain part of it, but not all of it. With this economy, a lot of people aren't buying. There is other variables like, did you source good items? Is your items priced correctly? Is your items desirable? Are they long tail? Like, there's all these variables that you don't think of when you're just thinking of selling online. You know, a lot of people think of selling online like, oh, it's easy. You just take pictures, list it, and it sells. No. You have to know how to pick, and you have to know what sells. And I honestly knew about video games, but that's really all I knew. I did not know about clothing. I did not know about, you know, shoes and toys, collectibles. I did not know much of anything like that. I wish I knew all of that going in when I was sourcing last year. I did make a bunch of mistakes last year when I was sourcing. I did dive into clothing, and now I don't know everything about clothing, but I know enough to be dangerous. But when I first started out, I was buying horrible brands. I did not know the first thing about clothing. I just thought I would buy stuff that I liked, and that's incorrect. You do want to source stuff that you like and sell it, but just because you like it doesn't mean it's a good item. I did make a ton of mistakes, and I have learned from them. I just wish didn't have to go through the losing the money part to learn the lesson, but that's just how it goes. You do lose money sometimes when you're learning. That is one of the hardships you're going to deal with if you're deciding to do that full time. Another hardship is, you know, shipping. Shipping is probably the most complex part of the business. You have to know what kind of box to ship it in. You have to know about the rates. You have to know about, you know, for example, dimensional rates. Once it goes past 12 12 12, it's best to use UPS or FedEx instead of USPS because they charge for the extra dimensional fee. There's a bunch of stuff that for shipping that is probably deterring a bunch of people from selling online, and that is a monster. I have learned a ton about shipping. I do have to thank YouTubers like Shed Flips who have taught a bunch of resellers about, you know, how to run the business, how to ship, tips on how to start out, and I'm very appreciative of that. That's my main advice for you guys. If you guys are contemplating doing this, watch a bunch of YouTube videos, especially ones that have been doing it for a long time. A lot of times they'll have useful information that you can learn. Since then though, I've learned a lot more bolos. I learned more about shipping. I now have a CPA who helps me with taxes, and that's what I did not have early last year. I wish I did that earlier on, but again, you can't prepare everything. Part of your strategy is gonna go out without a parachute. It's gonna happen. You gotta take the good with the bad. One thing I do want to focus on this year is not to do many bad buys, and I know that's hard to say. How do you know what is a bad buy, especially if you don't know nothing about it? I've made several bad buys that did not bite me in the butt, but I am sitting on some of the items still. A lot of the clothing that I did do bad buys on, I did end up donating a bunch of it. You might be asking yourself, Grimsy, why didn't you try to resell it at least for a little bit? Because honestly, my inventory was almost at, I want to say 15,000. I was running out of room. Of course, during fourth quarter, I cleared up a bunch of space, but I wanted to clear up a bunch more space just for this year, because this year I plan to source better. I've studied and I've done a lot of, you know, investigation on what sells on certain items. So when I go out and I find a bunch of a good item, I want to make sure I have room for it. And I do want to focus more on fast-paced movement. I don't want to be sitting on a bunch of stuff, especially if it's bulky. If it's not as bulky, you know, I don't mind. It just depends if the dollar amount is right. Lastly, I did mention I did get a CPA late last year, and I wish I did that earlier. I'm still learning. I actually just turned in my tax documents, and you know, I have no idea what number they're going to come back at me. They did give me an advice of what to write off. They gave me an advice of, you know, some of the stuff I can claim for a write-off, and some stuff I didn't even think about. But CPA is honestly the best bet if you were going into it full-time, especially because you are going to get taxed because you are making your own income. You have to be able to write stuff off to knock that number down. I might make a video, especially if it ends up being good or bad. I might just make a video of how the taxes go. This was probably one of the most terrifying parts of reselling on my own, is I did not know this monster of the taxes. So we'll see what number they come back at me. Hopefully it's not crazy. Hopefully it's just, I have a bunch of stuff that I am writing off, and I did have something else that's going to help me with the taxes. A lot of this is stuff you do not think about when you're going into it. But overall, this is a celebration video. I am very happy that I made it 1 year officially on February 24th. If this is uploaded before then, making it selling online on eBay full-time. And thank you for following me on this journey. Hopefully you and I learn more this year. I'm going to be sourcing better. I'm going to be making more videos. YouTube is another thing I want to grow this year. I want to hit past 1,000 subscribers. I want to be monetized. I want to definitely grow with the community and share my knowledge as well. Thank you for watching. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe for more videos, and follow my Instagram at GrimzyRaider. Thanks for watching, and we'll see what I find next. Thanks, guys.